This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. Yeah, right. This is an on this day. And on this day, Father's Day, 1964, the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets were going to play a double dip, meaning a double header. The second game of the double header saw the Phillies beat the Mets 8-2, but that wasn't the important game. The important game was the leadoff team. Philly was 13 games above 500, starting at 36-23 against the lowly Mets, who were 20-45. And under the 333 threshold, but not at the winning percentage that they had in 1962. Anyway, it's a beautiful day at Shea Stadium, and Jim Bunning, the father of six, was on the bump for Philadelphia. Also on the bump was the Mets' Tracy Stallard. Unfortunately, Stallard will always be remembered as the man who gave up Roger Maris's 61st home run of the season in 1961. Regardless of that, the Phillies needed Jim Bunning. He was 6-2, good ERA against Stallard, who was 4-8. The Phillies had John Briggs at center, John Hernstein at first, John E. Collins in right field, John Allen, just kidding. It was Dick Allen at third base, or Richie Allen, as he sometimes was known as. Wes Covington in left, Tony Taylor second base, Cookie Rojas at short, Gus Triandos catching, and Jim Bunning pitching. Remember, this was at a time when pitchers hit for themselves. The Mets had Jim Hickman at center, Ron Hunt second base, known for being hit by a lot of pitches, Ed Granville at first, Joe Christopher in right, Jesse Gonder catching, Hawk Taylor in left, Charlie Smith at short, Amado Samuel at third, and Tracy Stallard behind the bump. Philly gave Jim Bunning a 1-0 lead when Dick Allen hit an RBI single to score breaks. Jim Hickman struck out looking, Ron Hunt grounded out, Ed Cranfield popped out. The Phillies got another run on an RBI double by Triandos, scoring Tony Taylor. Christopher flew out in the bottom of the second. Gonder popped foul and got caught, and Hawk Taylor flew one out the right field. In the bottom of the third, the Mets had Charlie Smith strike out swinging. Samuel lined out the short, and Tracy Stallard flew to left field. In the bottom of the fourth, Jim Hickman whiffed. Ron Hunt whiffed. Ed Cranfield popped to the catcher. In the bottom of the fifth, Joe Christopher popped out. Jesse Gonder grounded out. Hawk Taylor grounded out. You can kind of guess the philosophy of this video. I hope you do. So anyway, top of the sixth, the leadoff man was Johnny Callison. Pretty good guy. And if memory serves me right, he won the 1964 NL MVP, right? Well, anyway, Johnny Callison flew one out to deep right field, way back to say goodbye to that one, 3-0. Gus Triandos hit an RBI single to score Bobby Wine, who pinch ran for Wes Covington. And Jim Bunning hit an RBI double to score Taylor and Triandos, which was shocking because, pitchers, could they rake? They did rake. Well, Jim Bunning did. He raked a 2 RBI double. Bill Wakefield came out of the bullpen and got John Briggs. So Bobby Wine went to shortstop. Cookie Rojas went to left field. Charlie Smith flew out. Samuel popped out to short. The pitcher spot was ninth, so the Mets went with Rod Keneal to pinch hit, and he grounded out. Meaning Tom Strudivant were the next pitcher for the Mets. In the bottom of the seventh, Jim Hickman whiffed, Ron Hunt grounded out, Ed Cranfield whiffed. In the bottom of the eighth, Joe Christopher struck out swinging, Jesse Gonder grounded out, and Hawk Taylor struck out. So Bunning looked pretty good. He was throwing a no-hitter. Check that. He was throwing a perfect game. No Met had got on base. Anyway, in the top of the ninth, the Phillies, Jim Bunning came up and flew out. John Briggs struck out, and John Hernstein grounded out. So it was 6-0 Phillies. So the fans, whatever fans were left at Shea Stadium that day, actually were cheering for the Phillies. Charlie Smith came up on a 2-2 pitch. He popped foul, and the shortstop got it. They went with George Altman to pinch hit for Samuel. And on an 0-2 pitch, he struck out swinging. Bunning had one more strike to go. And it was going to be John Stevenson who would pinch hit for Strudivant. And on a 2-2 pitch, Stevenson whined for the fences and swung and missed. Jim Bunning had done it. He threw a masterful game. 10 strikeouts in 9 innings, which is pretty good. He did his job. Got a game score of 97 on that one. 10 strikeouts, no walks. More important, no hits, no runs. So it was a no hitter. But most importantly, nobody got on base. Not one Met got on base. So Jim Bunning had thrown a perfect game in baseball, which was amazing and all that. It was an iconic perfect game in the major leagues. It was only the 7th recorded perfect game. The first was Lee Richmond in 1880, then John Montgomery Ward for Providence in June 1880 as well. In the World Series era, this was the 5th time this happened. Cy Young in 1904 for Boston, Addie Joss in 1908 for Cleveland, Charlie Robertson in 1922 for the White Sox, Don Larson for the Yankees in 56. Yeah, so Larson's no perfect game in the World Series was the last one thrown in baseball, in all of baseball. And Jim Bunnings became the first in modern NL history. Yeah, he was the first NL player ever to throw a perfect game. It was amazing. He only threw 90 pitches and got 10 strikeouts. And it was on Father's Day, the father of 6. And the Phillies won 6-0. It was an amazing game for that. We wouldn't have to wait long for the next perfect game to be thrown by a pitcher because in September 65, Sandy Koufax did the job. So that was pretty impressive. Also to note that this wasn't the only perfect game in Philadelphia history. In 2010, Roy Halladay, in his first season coming over from the Blue Jays, threw a perfect game. In June of 2010, during the same time as the Flyers were playing Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals against the Hawks. Regardless of that, the Mets would fall in obscurity as per usual back in the 60s. However, the Phillies were on a roll. They were actually leading the National League in 1964 and looked like they were going to be the NL representatives for the World Series. Heck, they had World Series tickets printed out. But all of a sudden, they had that famous choke of 64 in which G. Mock overmanaged and put his 2 guys on short rest too many times. If the Phillies were smart, they would have gone with a nice rotation, win by 1 or 2 games. It doesn't matter. You win. You're going to the World Series against the Yankees. You might beat the Yankees. But yeah, Jim Bunning was a great pitcher and became one of the few pitchers at that time to throw a no-hitter for both American League and National League team because Jim Bunning pitched a no-hitter for the Tigers in 1958. So anyway, Jim Bunning's perfecto was pretty huge. It wasn't the only one on a major holiday for perfect game. Dallas Braden threw a perfect game on Mother's Day in 2010. So, like father, like mother. Anyway, I'm Jeff. I'm going to do